sunny here.
It's always
I'm middle.
when it's sunny in Poland, it's always bad here.
Okay, cool. So we're live now. So we're here on, I think, week 7 or week 8, I have no idea, of Lockdown Live on IOM. And this week we're joined by Catz and Dogz.
Hi.
So we've got Greg and Wojtek. Do you want to tell us where you are?
I'm in Poland right now. Close
I'm in Madrid.
Stettin.
Yeah, I'm in Madrid, where I live since 3 years already. I think the time is flying. So,
and you guys have just come out of your lockdown period. So.
Yeah. I was in the studio first time since like very long time. I don't even remember. So it was a really nice feeling to be able to drive car and just hang out outside.
No, really nice. And I guess I can see in the background some gadgets and equipment. Do you guys mind showing us your home studio workplace that you've been using over the
You go first, Gregory.
All right. Yeah, that's my cave. It's actually not that dark. That's
you are not working out, I know. That's a lie.
That's a clothes hanger. I just put it there. And this is my desk with my stuff here, like some MIDI controllers, and that's the other part of the room.
Nice.
I sometimes sleep on this couch.
And sometimes you do. Yeah. Sometimes we do the music here as well, but usually we go to Madrid.
Yeah, we have a studio in Madrid, so it's nicer weather and always inspiration. I have here like a small setup with KRK. And here, it's a company that it's not advertisement. It's a company based in Barcelona, and they made that custom because it's a bit nicer than the typical IKEA rack. So it's like nicer wood, and then down, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. It's possible to close the vinyl, so there's not that much dust. I forgot what's the name of the brand, but they did all the shelf custom made, so I was really happy with it.
That's a good setup, because I know a lot of people use like Catz.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a bit because I lived in so many apartments. I lived for 10 years in Berlin before, or longer, and then in Szczecin, and I always had that IKEA classic shelf, and I'm like if I ever buy a flat, exactly. So if I ever buy a flat, that will be like my thing, that I will not have that shelf from IKEA. And this is what I use a lot, is that old Corksin. You can see it's like super yellow already, but it has a vocoder, and I can just, because we host brunch every Saturday on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, so I can use it as a microphone to communicate with people, and sometimes I play some chords and stuff. Nice. But I use it as a MIDI controller.
So tomorrow you'll be back on Facebook and we can tune in?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Saturday.
Nice.
It's every Saturday at 12. Okay. One time I do it, and then the other time Gregory is doing it.
Yeah, tomorrow that's my turn.
Nice. Well, we'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So I kind of said this to you guys before, like I was super excited when we had you on board, like 7 years ago. I remember I was at university and I was listening to like Hush and Frontin, and all the festivals, everyone was playing Catz and Dogz. Your name was on all the lineups. So should we go back to how you both formed as a duo, and also the name Catz and Dogz?
Yeah, we are coming from the same town, from Szczecin in Poland, and we are very lucky because the town is super close to Berlin. We just need to drive 1.5 hours. So the town is like 500,000 people, and Wojtek was a DJ before me, so I went to his party and he knew my friends. So then we met, and then we were exchanging the music, and then we were going to Berlin fighting for the vinyl, who's gonna buy what. And then we started to produce music, and we sent the tracks to Crosstown Rebels, to Trenton, to Trapeze, and we sent it in post, of course, burnt on CD, and they replied that they really love it. So we released our first stuff. And then I remember we changed the name when Claude Von Stroke asked us for the remix of Who's Afraid of Detroit, and we did it as 3 channels. And we started in 2003-04, so that was like a really big era for minimal sound. So our records were really inspired by this sound, but we were always like really open, and we always like also different genres of music. So we didn't want to be only, visible as a minimal artist. So then we were thinking, okay, let's change the name, let's take the risk, and we did it. That's why Catz and Dogz, because the name, I think our friends were always laughing from us because they were always saying that we behave like an old couple, like cat and a dog, that because we were fighting. So we choose Catz and Dogz.
Who's the cat and who's the dog?
There's no answer for this, because when you hang out with somebody for many years, you become like one person. So now it really depends from the day,
It's already
and also when you get older, you kind of like repeat the argument and then figure out there's no conclusion, and you just like let it go forever. So we argue about just like stupid stuff nowadays, not really. Also, I think when you grow up, you appreciate more like real friends, because when you are like your first parties, as you say, like you are going up, you have like million friends, but then at the end, after years and years and years, there's just like few of them. That's kind of sad, but I don't know, but yeah, it's like appreciate, because there's also not that many like DJ duos that survive so many years. We always like share everything 50-50, and it was like from our beginning the principle, and it's working out really well, I think.
Yeah, we don't fight that much. Maybe for the middle seat we drop the coin, but that's it.
Now there will be no middle seat, there will be just business class everywhere.
Right now I can sit in the back in the middle seat, really, in the toilet.
I can sit in the toilet just to be able to fly to the gig.
Really nice story. And so I guess you both came from the same town in Poland. Last week we had Tiana, who spoke a lot about the scene growing up in Serbia. What was it like, the underground scene growing up in Poland, that got you initially into this music?
Yeah, as I said, luckily our hometown is really close to Berlin, so we were able to listen even to the German pirate radios from our homes here, because the waves were pretty strong. And this is how we get involved in the scene, because we could listen to the good music from outside, because in Poland it was really hard to buy this kind of music, and Berlin was really close, so we were going there to buy records. And we were very lucky because we had really good local DJs. That's why we always say that the local DJs are the most important, because they engage other people and they inspired us. The trio Family Groove, they were super cool. They were also playing a lot in Berlin in famous clubs, and they were always inviting really good DJs to our hometown. Like Ben Klopp was playing in a place for 50 people. Dixon was playing in a place for 50 people, and it was super intimate. They were playing, I'm sure, like a bit different music that they were playing in Berlin or like a big club, because it was super small. So we were very lucky, and this is how we get inspired. Also, DJ Highfish, the resident of famous WMF club from Berlin, he was also like a really big inspiration for me and for you, Wojtek, as well, I think, no?
Yeah, for me, like first time when it was like around 2003, 4, 5, when I first like heard Gigolo, Compact, or B-Pitch Control, all those records, it completely blew my mind. Like, because Gregory is a bit older, 2 years older than me, so he had first access before me to, for me, house was what was on TV. Like, there would be like one every 1,000 house tracks would get into top 40. So, and I would like, oh my God, that's that record, what is that? So I didn't have any clue of existence of how much depth there is into it. When you grow up later, you discover that there's like so much music that you were younger, you were not aware of, because you need to grow up and dig in it, So it was, that was cool that we grew up in Szczecin, because we were lucky that somebody educated us, before it was too late.
I was in, I know this isn't near where you guys are, but I was in Krakow in October, and I was in one of the markets at like 9 o'clock at night, and there was a man selling records. I might actually have it. And
oh, really?
And Yeah, I have it. And I came across this Kraftwerk record.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And it's a white vinyl. And I was like, how random it was there. And I think I paid I think maybe like 40 or 50 of the currency. And it was it's like one of my favorite records, you know? So
Yeah.
I think, as you said, like the digging and stuff, and when you go out, like for me from here, when you go to other countries and explore, there's so much stuff that you can find. I would never find this in a London, I don't think, in a London. And it's a white record as well, and it's really rare to find a white vinyl as well. So
I know what you mean, because I very often buy records when instead of going sightseeing, I go to sightseeing for records. And for me, one of the trips that just right now comes to my mind was when we DJ'd in Porto, and I went record shopping, and it like opened my mind for like a lot of Brazilian and African music, because there is like a lot of record shops have, because how close this is and how culture is mixed there. A lot of record shops have stuff, as you said, that others like not necessarily would check that shelf in any other shop. So I remember I bought a lot of records, and then it I started sampling and stuff. So after all those years, you can still discover stuff, from where you were when you were young, and I didn't. Or also, I remember that when I was like when we were starting, I remember that I didn't even like Brazilian sound influenced house, because that was more like progressive, no, Gregory? And we were not into the, but now after all those years, it just has a different context to me. So I think also the different context changes the meaning of music for you.
Yeah, but you're right. When especially when you know where to go in Poland, you can find like really rare stuff that some people. But actually, right now it's much harder. But before, when we were studying, we were really lucky, and sometimes we get, like you, Wojtek, you get this special compilation of Polish house music from the 80s.
Yeah.
You got it on the record. This is like really rare, no?
Yeah.
And then, so how did you guys? So Pet Recordings again is here in the UK. We know about it. It's a record label that people are into. How did you guys then begin that journey and start that?
It's I think it's similar to digging music. We really love to dig music. We really love to go deeper, and then you find one artist, and then you go and find another artist, and the tree is growing. And also the same with the labels. So doing the A&R and looking for new music, it's also super exciting. And our first mission, because there was not that many artists in Poland when we were starting, there was Jacek Sienkiewicz, SLG, and Marcin Czubala, and a few others, but they were not touring that much. And we really wanted to help the local scene grow, and also show other people that you can, when you produce something, you really need to believe in this, because it can happen. You really can have an EP out, because some people, they were, oh no, it's not possible for me, or they were like doing it and then didn't want to do it again because it was taking too much time. So we decided to start the record, to put the Polish artists, to arrange like a really good remix for them, and so they will be able to play outside. So that was our first mission. But this time, and that was I think 2010, was pretty hard. But right now there's a lot of new really good artists like Air Tracks and Newborn Junior, and there's a lot like good music out from Poland. So I think
but it's mostly now the music from Poland, it's mostly like it's a bit harder. It's like more techno, industrial. Yeah,
I mean, Poland was always like really. We really like hard music and techno music, no?
I have a feeling that Eastern European countries in general, they're really into techno from the beginning. I think a lot of DJs, they really like to come, especially there's like few big events in Warsaw, and there's thousands of people coming to those events. And it's always like, Chris Liebing, all those people. And people really love stuff like that.
Yeah, but we started the label. I think the most important reason for us was to look for the new music and discover something. It's like when you do when you produce your own music, you have something special, you have something only for you and something totally new. Also, when you receive the demo or you do the A&R and you find something and it's unreleased, it's also like a really cool thing to have something new, something special.
Gregor, you are really good in like keeping the topic, because I always like, I forgot what was the question already. And thanks God you're like, you know when I'm going somewhere like.
And you were already, where are we?
Yeah, I was like, oh, thanks God that he's keeping track. What's the conversation about?
Yes.
Everyone that we've spoken to who runs a label, so we had Fang who runs Discwoman and Tasha who runs Neighborhood. So for people that are listening, what criteria, so if someone was to send you a demo, what kind of process do you go through and what kind of criteria do you work around?
It's
Gregor is better than me in
Yeah.
this, because I spend way more time on like the production side. So sometimes I'm like really tired already and I don't want to really listen to demos, and Gregory always keeps tracks and stuff. So most of the big records that we signed, Gregory signed.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends, you know, with the why we want to sign the record and why we don't want to sign the record. Some records we didn't sign and then they become #1 on Beatport, for example. But there was something that we didn't, I don't know if we didn't like, but there was something like that we didn't
What was the
feel.
record that we recently didn't sign that was #1? I forgot. I don't know how it's pronounced. His name. He's very talented. Rebuke. I don't know how it's pronounced. So that record was signed by later, I think, Hot Creation. No.
Mm-hmm.
So it's. I was listening to a Tiga interview one day. I think for as an advisor, and he also said that, you know, some of the tracks that you sign, you know, they are bombs, but they are just not your bombs. So you know that's our criteria. You know, for example, we sometimes have that, and because Gregor is like keeping more track on the demos, so he would be like, Wojtek, check that demo. He would send me email 3 times, and we would, you know, tour, and it would be like 1, 2, 3 weeks of touring. We played already 6 gigs, and he's like, Wojtek, check that demo, and I'm like, did you play it in the club? You have it since 3 weeks? He's like, no. That's the answer, you know. So, and if it's like, you know,
for example,
right,
last week you played a record that I was like, okay, but we were supposed to sign this record 5 months ago, and I can really, okay.
Yeah. So it's about, I think, just like a right timing as well, you know.
Yeah,
If
exactly, right timing as well.
Yeah, and later you have to learn to live with the reality of, like, you know, that record got so popular and I didn't sign it.
Yeah, and
But
Pets
the record that I
recording,
missed.
the Pets
What was the
recording,
record
we
that
try
you
to
missed?
do like various genres also, not only to keep like all the releases techno or deep house or house. We like to have different genres on the label, but keep the good quality. And we also had a lot of music that we wanted to release, but they didn't fit to the Pets labels. That's why we start the Step Recordings. That was at the beginning vinyl only label, but right now we're gonna put everything digital. And there we release more dry stuff, more club stuff, but also some more experiments. And
It's more like raw, more like I hate the word underground, but it's just more not overproduced. I would say that more like basic kind of. I don't know. Yeah, because underground is such a bad word. There is no underground.
Good. Well, if anyone's listening, then you know they can throw some demos your way. You guys can have a listen.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Yeah.
Gregory will listen for sure.
It might get played 5 months later. Who knows?
Yeah. No, now you know, we have way more time right now because of lack of touring. So I'm working way more on music, and Gregory is doing some projects right now in our hometown, and we listen to a lot of music, and we have a radio show still. So some stuff we don't release, but we play. We have Rinse FM. We have Nuance Radio, which is the biggest internet radio in Poland at the moment. So, you know, there's still outlets, some stuff even if we don't release. So you can always send us music.
when's is it a month, your Rinse FM show? It's monthly.
Yeah.
And when is it? So we can tune in.
Every first Saturday of the month.
Okay, cool, perfect. So I guess moving on to why we're doing this series with the pandemic that's going on and how it's affecting the industry. So first of all, kind of how have you guys been impacted in terms of gigs and festivals that you would have played over the summer that have now been cancelled? How many do you think have been cancelled or postponed?
I don't even.
A lot, you know.
Yeah.
We lost the track.
And also, we were preparing a lot of stuff that we had to postpone. Like this year, our label is 10 years old. We finished EP with Clove on Stroke. We have EP, new one on Defected. We released during pandemic on Dynamic for Solomon. You know, so yeah, you see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. So, you know, we were working super hard in the studio. We took, that's the thing now, we took most of the January, February off to do music. And then we're supposed to start touring. So for us, it's even longer because we just did few beats here and there, like 2 or 3 gigs in 2 or 3 months. And we were like really hungry for it. So the last party that we played, it was, I do like
Watergate.
I do here in Madrid, yeah. And then after that, we play Watergate in Berlin.
Nice.
And I was telling to everybody, I was telling to Gregory, everybody, because I knew how the it's spreading the virus. And I'm like, okay, tonight we're getting drunk because I'm telling everybody that this will be last time. Because I know how, like, you know, how this was spreading already. It was beginning of March, no? First week of March, Gregory. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so we got really drunk and party very long. And then the week after, I couldn't get out of home.
Yeah, I really missed that.
Yeah.
Was that the 14th, the weekend of the 14th of March? I think.
Let me
6th and 7th, I think.
Okay, the one before.
Yeah, 6th and 7th, because I remember because 6th it's Women's Day in Poland.
Yeah, on 14 we were supposed to go to Italy, to the region where it was super hardcore.
That's exactly, and that was yes, you are right. That we're supposed to go, and we're like not sure should we go, but you know it was at the beginning when people didn't know what to do yet. So
yeah, then we were supposed to go to Miami, and we were really looking forward for that because it's always fun. And this month we're supposed to play after party after Detroit Music Festival.
Oh,
and yeah, but
my heart.
yeah,
we really miss that. That's why we do brunch, and that's why we do the radio.
Yeah,
and yeah, we, as Wojtek said, we're gonna do also a special stream for the local artists here in Szczecin to support them, and we are working with our city, so they're gonna also give us some money to support the local artists because I think they suffer the most right now.
That kind of
yeah, and I think next week it's not confirmed, but I think I'm doing next week the United We Stream.
Nice.
They are doing it in Madrid, and they will be also collecting money for clubs in Madrid.
Wow.
So yeah, but I think it's next week, in 2 weeks. I just got a phone call yesterday. So, but it's also like with collaboration with government that I have to have a paper to be able to drive somewhere and stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
And how it got affected for me personally, because I think it's quite important to answer that. Like all my friends that I was talking with, everybody has the same feeling that it goes with like phases. That one day you feel amazing, and then you have a lot of hope, and then another day you are like completely devastated. So it goes with me like that. But weirdly, I'm being inspired in the studio somehow. Like music gives me a lot of hope. So because still, you know, I know that I talk with a lot of people, because when you are in a kind of like a geeks mode, you go from one weekend to another, and then you're like, okay, I listen to promos, buy music, dig records, go. And it's like, and now I notice that I like listen way more music without skipping because there is nowhere to go. So I would like listen. I was just listening right now while showering the Come On Go album, I realized how Kanye West was genius. Like that album is one of the best produced ever hip hop albums. And it's something that maybe not necessarily when I would be like all the time traveling around the world, I would just like figure out to listen, So that's like a positive note for me. And that's, yeah. And Gregory has a baby, so I think it's good that you're not traveling, no?
Yes. Right now I have the after party at home all the time. She's 7 months old, so it's getting more and more fun.
You're like saying through tears, like.
Yeah, I didn't sleep. No, it's okay. It's cool. It's for me, yeah, it changed a lot because, as Wojtek said, right now we stay a lot at home, so we have a lot of time. There are different phases. Sometimes you start to really panicking, but then we talk together, and it's much nicer. Usually we panic different days, so it's okay. But right now, less and less, you get used to it, no? So the first phase, I remember I was really digging the old stuff, all my records, all my magazines, all my flyers, just to entertain myself. And
now I think we are both in a moment of like adjusting to new reality already.
Yes.
Because
right now,
I know that you'll probably ask about like what do I think about future. So like what do I think what's gonna happen, and best advice I got was like that this is the future. So, and that's it. Like whatever happened, we just have to adjust to this and everything that comes, because we are with Gregory always, for example, when we are going to a gig, we don't expect a lot from the gig, because when the gig is good, it's like a nice surprise. And if it's not that full, you're like, okay, I still focus on music and do my job, and you go too excited. For example, I know a lot of people had that in Panorama Bar, that Berlin, you like wait 10 years for the gig, and then that day happens that it's like 30 degrees in Berlin, and like suddenly you were preparing for your set all your life, and thinking, and then suddenly the weather is so amazing that nobody wants to really party, So I forgot what was the question. You, Gregory, you're supposed to be helping me with keeping track of my.
I think the point is that you guys have been a bit more reflective. There's more time to appreciate. I think appreciation is something that's come up a lot. Like appreciating music again, artists, delving deeper into whatever your brain wants to explore that day. And like, as you said, like there's phases. One day you're like motivated and enthusiastic, and then one day you just want to stay in bed and not get out of bed. It's definitely phases. But also going back, congratulations.
Thank you.
You have a 7-month baby. That's fantastic. And
good job.
Another full-time job. And the signing on Dynamics. That's congratulations again.
We know Solomon like really, really long. I think he was one of the first people we met when we were visiting Berlin.
We went to Sonar, first trip to Sonar. We had dinner, like lunch together, no?
Yeah, that was like 2006 or something.
Yeah, something like crazy.
When he was starting the label. So that's fun.
It's the same with Jamie, that we know each other. First our gig. I think first our gig in London, we went to his house to after party.
Oh yeah, or maybe we played first our gig in
the end, T-bar, the club,
right? No, not T-bar, and the end, right?
The end.
Yeah. And then we went to the after party T-bar, and then the after party with all the Crosstown Rebels crew somewhere. That was fun.
And I was like 5 years old, seriously.
We were like 19, 20, no?
Yeah, I don't know, but like I was too young.
So I guess in terms of like music as well, you guys have been busy during this time, and so there'll be stuff that we will expect once we come out of this, whenever that is, this year, next year. There's lots of stuff that we can expect from you guys.
We will be putting out music still during pandemic because we're not gonna like wait, because as I said, we decided with Gregory that we'll just like live in this reality and don't really like let this drag us down, you know, because people still listen to music.
Yeah, and music is very
You know,
important
like,
for us, and also it's give us a lot of fun to produce and to,
yeah,
you know, it's always something new. So
yeah. I also think putting out music that you do during pandemic, it's kind of like authentic to put it out during pandemic, because it's like, especially if it's, of course, not like a club banger that, you know, you produce purely for, but like something to listen. I think people later can relate to it better, no? If they still have like the same kind of emotions and feelings. So we're gonna put out record during pandemic for sure.
Okay, brilliant. And I know you kind of touched on this earlier when you spoke about why you started Pets Recording to showcase local artists. Something that has come up a lot is that even though the pandemic is an awful thing, it will give smaller local scenes and DJs and communities the opportunity to showcase themselves more, away from, you know, the massive headliners that are always
Yeah,
the same names that are, you know, headlining this festival main stage, this festival main stage.
yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that's true? Do you think that that's an opportunity for?
I think that's gonna be the first step, no? After, because it's not gonna happen. Okay, we are done. Go to the clubs and festivals. It's gonna be like, okay, we can open like smaller clubs, for example, in Poland or in Spain or somewhere else, and then the local DJs will be able to play, and there will be a lot of people, and this is gonna be great because they will follow. They will have memories, and the best memories from the best parties, because I'm sure it's gonna be great, I hope. And this is a big chance for the local DJs, who we really think are the most important, because they create the whole atmosphere. They engage the people. It's the most important. So I'm gonna be definitely playing. If we will be not able to travel outside, I will be playing in Poland, and Wojtek, I'm sure we will be playing in Spain. So we're also gonna support this.
For a long run, my answer for this is that like the world is in equilibrium. So if it goes really down, later it goes up until kind of just like to make the, you know, things in the world even. But people have a tendency, psychologically speaking, of forgetting bad stuff, you know, because it's easier to live just in like happy place in your head. So I think it would affect the scene at the beginning, but then I think that the scene would kind of come back to where it was, and how, because it's what people have like memories with, kind of. And it's like traveling big festivals and all this. I think it has a reason why it's happening, because it sells and what people want. So maybe some people, of course, it will affect definitely local scenes, but on a global scale, I think because I'm positively sure that everything will come back to normal one day. There's no doubt. We will just have to adjust few things. But I think there will be still like big events and big names and all this. Because even like in the rock scene and stuff, it's since forever, all this time. You know, like people book the same bands when it's a festival. It's not only with the DJs, you know.
Yeah,
It's just
definitely.
you have to. Yeah. I'm sorry, I will just finish. So
yeah,
on a personal level, we have to kind of like find pockets of joy on a small level, but it's kind of like a big economical organism will find its balance, because you know that's how the world is. It's not really pessimistic. I'm just like being realistic.
Yeah.
I think you are not talking pessimistic. I totally agree with you. In a long term, especially that the clubbing is there's a lot of young people, and young people, they forgot,
Yeah.
and they want to have fun and enjoy their life.
Exactly. I see that here on the street. Like Spain is, you know, still second country the most affected, and in the moment when it's possible to have walks, like Spanish teenagers are doing what it's called botellón in Spanish, which is basically drinking beer outside on the bench or in front of the car. And that's what's happening directly. Like, I don't blame them. When I was 18, I was an awful person. Like, really, like my parents really were not happy. So I would probably, yeah. I would probably, you know, do the same. Now I'm like, you know, going with mask, gloves, hand sanitizer, all this, but you know, young people don't think that way, I think. No.
You know, like from talking to our community, you know, like especially on a Friday when there's loads of, you know, live streams or virtual streams, and you're like, I just want to go out. And you just that itch, and you just want to go out, and you kind of, and
you can.
Me personally, you know, I've been going to Glastonbury Festival, for example, for many years. So that's like 250,000 people, right, on a field for 5 days. You shower maybe once, you know, you're not clean, like. And
we didn't shower at all.
Yeah, exactly. You don't shower, and that's like part of the experience, right? But like, I think after this, people shouldn't be afraid, because again, like, you go to Glastonbury every year, and that's unclean, and that's probably more unhygienic than, you know, going back into a club. But I do agree. I think the younger people are just ready to go back out and.
Yeah, I think the same.
We just need to wait for the vaccine, and then it's gonna be all fine. Because right now it's gonna stay, no?
Yeah,
it's just very difficult to talk about this stuff. That's why I'm just like adjusting to the reality for now, because like if we'll be thinking all the time what's gonna happen when we'll be able to go out, then you'll be like, fuck, I lost 1 year of thinking about what I will do when I will go out. And like in this 1 year, we can do so much stuff still, you know, like this is not war. Like I can cook every day, like something from a cooking book. I can make music. I can, you know, it's just like, still, it's not the end of the world, I think, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it could be better, it could be worse, no, definitely.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of my friends got affected, you know, mom of my friend died and stuff, but you know, we will just get through it, I think, as a society and as a planet Earth.
Yeah, and I really hope that the scene will be more united, because you can see this in a Polish example. For example, when the government is opening some parts of the economy, but the events, they don't exist at all in the mind of the people who are in a government. So right now people are grouping together, and they want to fight with this, and this, I think this is going to happen all around the world, that people are going to unite, and they will be more representative, like the events companies, for example.
Yeah, like in Germany, you know, that this is taken very serious. That is not just like young people getting fucked up. It's actual part of culture, you know. So whatever, if you like it or not, like making music, producing it, mastering it, promoting, it's such a gigantic business, you know. So many people get affected by it. They can't just be like left alone and you don't need to party. Like, yes, you do. You know,
it's so interesting how the nightlife industry is taken seriously in somewhere like Germany, because, you know, it affects tourism, which affects the GDP of the country, affects income. You know, like people literally go to Berlin to party, and that's tourism, right?
Yeah, so much taxes.
Yeah, and it is sad how like arts and culture, the sectors aren't taken in that same regard everywhere else. You know, we have friends that own venues here in London, big venues, and they're still paying the same rent.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's empty.
Absolute. Yeah, absolute.
It's expensive. It's expensive.
Absolute nightmare. This thing when people still, like in New York as well, my friends pay like rent for bars and clubs, and it's up like, oh, I can't even start.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I was going to also ask you, this is like my own question, in terms of like sustainability. So again, this is probably me being optimistic, because I know everyone's going to go back onto the flights, flying here, flying there, flying here, flying there, flying there. But whilst, you know, that people aren't flying around, do you think maybe people might rethink how they're touring, or just to be more sustainable in line with everything that's going on outside in the world?
I think that was happening already before. There was a like, for example, look how cool it was to post a photo from private jet 3 years ago, but look how it looks right now if you would do it in January. it's completely, it already changes, because there's also DJs, you know, Blondish is doing this big campaign that a lot of DJs join, we as well joined that we don't have plastic cups and no straws and stuff in, you know. But on the other hand, this is like a really long topic. This we could do another Zoom on this. That, you know, it's easy to say don't fly to your gigs. You know, it's easy to say. It doesn't only affect DJs, you know, like don't fly to your gigs, you know. So I think a lot of people also feel guilty of flying, so they help other initiatives and try to also like donate money and stuff, because there's just no straight answer for this stuff, you know. It would be really big hypocrisy if we would pretend that, you know, we don't have to fly and we, you know. But I think was already happening before pandemic, and it might help.
Yeah, we were in a situation that we couldn't fly in 2011 when there was eruption of the volcano, or 2013, I don't remember, but we stayed like 2 months at home, no?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the volcano, that we couldn't travel, and we stayed like 2 months at home. So I remember we were only playing gigs in Berlin and in Poland and somewhere in Germany where we could drive or take a train. But yeah, right now it's a different situation. It's not important to do it anywhere. So yeah, it's a new thing. Never happened before. I mean, it happened, but not on a level that we are right now. So nobody knows how it's going to look like.
Like for example, if we DJ in Spain, Gregory flies here, and I have a hybrid car, so we always drive, you know. But it's like I'm not bragging about it. It's just like this is what we do, because we kind of like to discover. And I would never really like thought about it until now. You ask like, how do we kind of like improve, you know, like. I remember that back in the days, for example, people would do like a flight to US and back just to sustain the gold card status in some airline. But now, for example, I think if you would say that even like in December or January to somebody will be like, come on, man, like that's a flight, you know what I mean? So I think it's already in mentality of people to kind of like, you know, watch out a bit with this.
I must say, we also take the car in Spain because we connect the computer to the sound system, and we do music when we travel.
Yeah, we're doing that as well. Interesting. I will think about it more later. Actually.
Yeah, I think it's just something. Again, I think it's because we're all in like reflective mode. So everyone's thinking, okay, what can I change about myself, or how can I adapt? Because no one wants to go back to living the exact same life, I don't think. You know, there's parts of things that people think, this is something I should continue to do outside of this. And I know, and some people have said, you know, they're just going to be more conscious about the way they, you know, travel, or, you know, how they get to gigs, or how they're consuming alcohol, or anything really, you know, that you would might adapt or change. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear what you guys thought of that.
Yeah, I really hope
it's interesting point, definitely. And yeah, I agree with you, because what I have said at the beginning, that I'm adjusting in my head to that this is the future, you know. So
I remember, Wojtek, at the beginning when the pandemic started, we had this talk with our friends also on WhatsApp, on our chat, and we were talking like, if it's going to affect the people, that they will be more aware and more open, and they will take care of the environment more. And we were thinking like, some of our friends were saying, okay, it will, and some of them, no, nothing's going to change. But I'm also like thinking that it's going to change some people, and I really hope it's gonna change how we treat the environment, because and also like, I try to not eat meat that much as well, because this is, I think, the really big problem for the environment.
Yeah. Another big
I had a vegan lunch, so I can brag about it. If you have something vegan, you cannot like not share it with somebody.
You have to. Well, I've not eaten meat. It was 6 years in April, just gone. I've not had meat for 6 years, and it feels great. And I used to eat a lot of lamb. I used to eat lamb so much, and sometimes I miss it. But yeah, there's changes that can happen. But talking of changes in terms of music, so like Bandcamp. I don't know if are you guys using Bandcamp?
Yeah, we love it.
So the first Friday of each month they've been waiving their fees, and again, like for me, that's something that you would never have seen any streaming music platform saying we're going to give all the money to the creatives, and that's something that I hope that continues after this, not just because people have less money, but actually you know, people work hard when they produce their music, and it's something. So for me, that I'm very passionate about something like that to continue, you know.
No, totally. It's the opposite of what you said about people paying their rent during pandemic. It's like the opposite two kinds of personality, that you don't look how you can do more money on this, that you look how you can share because other people are actually like really in need. And even for an artist, even for an artist that he will, you know, let's say sells music on Bandcamp and would do during that week 50 euros more, it's like shopping for a few days, you know. So nowadays, I like, you know, especially a lot of musicians struggle even without pandemic. So during this time when it's so difficult, it's great. Yeah, I found that we were also like spreading the word about that, and we were doing we had a special promo code for that day, and I think it's great.
Is it just
we like to use it because you deal directly with the artists, and it's like you can give your money directly to the artist, which is great, I think.
Yeah.
Is your Bandcamp just Catz and Dogz, and then do you have a Pets recording one?
It's Pets Recordings.
Pets Recording and Step Recordings. We just started.
Okay, nice. We'll check that out. So then, just to wrap up that part, this is a big question, but like, and I guess nobody knows the answer. 2021 question mark. What will 2021 look like for you guys, I guess?
Yeah, so I don't think I will answer this because I just don't know. Like you know what? I don't even want to know. You know, because I'm like, I found joy from things that I'm doing at the moment since last few weeks, and I'm reconnected a lot way more with my family, and you know, so we will just all the time have to be adjusting. I think it's like right now we live in a reality that we will have to all the time adjust. You know, now back in the days people had usually like, oh, I work in this job since 30 years. That's great, you know. And nowadays people change job like this because you just adjust into reality. So I think in 2021 there will be another thing different, and we will be like, oh, coronavirus, there was nothing.
No, don't say that. Come on. I mean, I think
I'm sorry. I'm just joking.
Yeah, the music will never end. So there's gonna be music all the time, and that's the most important. And it's just gonna, as Wojtek said, we just need to adjust, and we will see if there will be a cure for this. I'm sure there will be, because the technology right now is crazy, and the genomes and all the DNA stuff, it's definitely helping the sequencing, and that's actually really interesting to see that. I'm really not happy that a lot of people got affected and died because of that, but I really hope it's going to change, as you said, people's minds, and they're going to take care of the environment more. And let's just wait for the 2021. And I hope the party is going to go back, but definitely not as it was before. Huh? We will need to wait a bit longer, I think. No idea.
Yeah, we are different with Gregory with this, because Gregory always likes to read articles about, like he said, DNA, genomes, and all this stuff, and I'm more like focusing on, you know, what I'm gonna have for dinner. You know? So yeah, it's horrible what's happening right now. So let's just hope it's gonna pass as soon as possible.
Yeah,
and that's it. And with small step, I'll be happy even DJing for 20 people as long as I feel they smell their energy.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm very old, kind of, old school when it comes to this.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. So before this as well, I asked, this is now about music, your own kind of music. So this is what people find the hardest, like track of self-isolation, or the track that has informed you the most, or your favorite dance track of all time. So Greg, I know you sent yours over.
This is for us easy because we have the same track.
Oh, it's the same. Okay. So before I play it, do you want to tell us why you connected? Because this music video, I remember like 2000, this song used to come on Top of the Pops and used to come on all the music videos. And I remember the music video, like.
Yeah.
Same here.
So,
yeah, the music video also like made a really big impact. Yeah.
It's such a great video.
Yes.
I was actually preparing what to say about this song, and I rewatched the video, and it kind of like it's very good for now, because that kid, the mom is all the time like shouting to him, and he's for a few days just building the plane, and like finally at the end of the video, it's kind of like shitty, that video, but it's just like very symbolic. And for now, that he just like put the plane up from the hill, and that's just like pure joy that you work on something by yourself and then you just like let it go.
And this track is also a pure joy, like really simple, and just like there's a lot of like good feelings in there.
And this is exactly what we were talking at the beginning. That was one of those tracks that there was like million songs on MTV, and then that record would come on. It's like, what is like, how do you even, because it's produced by Daft Punk, right? So like from a perspective of production, there was nothing like that produced at the moment. The compression, sidechain, the vocoder, everything. I was just like, this sounds like from another planet, So that record for us, it's yeah.
Right, I'm gonna fast forward it a bit and then give it a play.
We have a little Zoom dance party.
We did it already.
Yeah. Yeah, that record sounds like just nothing else still, no? By today.
Yeah, it's so nostalgic.
Yeah.
It's so nostalgic. I literally, when you said that, I was like, because I remember like here, like as you said, MTV, all the music channels back then. I think like even Top of the Pops, which we used to have every Friday night, 7 to 8, and you'd come and you'd have like a DJ in the background and the kids.
Yeah, probably.
I think is it 2000 or 99?
Something like that, yeah.
Around that. But yeah, music that time as well was great, and there was something very. I don't know if this sounds right, but it was very like European, like that kind of Euro house kind of trance. That era, it was very, Europe was at the top there, I'd say, when it came to that kind of music.
Yeah. Right now, a lot of DJs was coming back to it, like the whole that record. Like there was a special stage when we DJed in summer on Tomorrowland with like all the classic trance house DJs from Europe.
Yeah, good memories. Back when it was popular, was too commercial for us, and everybody was making fun of this. But right now, when you listen to it, there's this kind of like, the memories are there, no?
Yeah, it's like back in the days when we were in the 90s, some DJs that were older than me, they were like, how you can sample disco? Disco is like pure, you can't touch it. And then like in the early 20s, they're like 2000, they were like, how you can sample 80s? And now when people sample 90s, it's like for like really older people, it's like, oh no, you can't do that,
It just kills it. I have my opinion on it, but yeah, this is a very authentic, organic track that it was right for the time, and just leave it, let it be. and then like let's
There will be, I'm sure, versions of it. So.
hopefully not, because I
You know, it's very difficult to sample something that you were listening when you were young, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other track that when you described the video with the boy and letting the plane off, the other one that I used to love is Brimful of Asher by the Norman Cook remix. I don't remember that video, and the young girl, and she's in her bedroom with the brimful of Asher on a 45.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
That's the one that I think is like, again, it fits into that. I love it. Yeah.
Nostalgic.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Guys, this has been great. 55-minute chat. And yeah, it's been great to have you guys on. As I said, like when I saw you, I was buzzing from my 2013 I used to listen to you guys so much, and like Rinse FM shows, I've still got them on my SoundCloud from 6-7 years ago and stuff. But no, it's been great to have you on board and hear your insight from a different part of the world as well, because I think here in London we're like in this bubble sometimes that we need to burst.
No, I think everybody is right now kind of in a bubble, just trying to, you know, what's happening around in a certain country has different politics at the moment. So yeah,
and hopefully you'll be back in the UK next year at some festivals, and
I hope. I can even crawl or like or walk just to
you can take a bus, Wojtek.
Thanks for having us.
I'm looking forward to hearing the Dynamic release. Like, I can only imagine it being very.
It's out. You can check it out. It went out. Oh, yeah. It's one track. It's called Sunset. It's a bit deeper, and the other one called IOM. It's very weird.
Okay. And actually, the track Sunset, we were playing in a car when we were driving from one gig to another in Spain. That was the first time we played it, and yeah, that was also inspired by this trip, definitely.
We'll get the link to post in our community so people can hear that as well.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I'm going to stop the stream. And guys, thanks so much for joining us. And
thank